Keep going.
As a knife and a lighter, as opposed to all us yahoos carrying, 500-pound rucksacks or something. So it's something to think about. And if nothing else, it's a good idea to have a bug-out bag, right? It's got to be packed all the time. It's got to be ready to go all the time. So you can grab it out of your closet or your garage, throw it in your car and go. You can have it heavy if you're going in your car, but you should have in your mind, what are the things I'm going to immediately dump out of this thing if I actually do have to walk. If you go through that thought process now, while you're safe and well rested and well fed, you'll be able to make the decision a lot better than if you wait till you're under stress and there's 5 rednecks on dirt bikes and ATVs who are shooting at us and chasing us and running and may catch you or your wife or your dog. All right, so it's something to think about now. Most of us, I say us because it includes me, these rucksacks are ridiculously heavy. One thing we learned about the B.O.B campout as opposed to exercise is we've actually developed some bad habits over the 12 years. Like I'm carrying a stool because it's just a lot more comfortable when I come over and talk to Brother Scott at his campfire later on today to grab my stool, sit down, put my coffee cup in his fire, and that makes it nice for the campout. But the reality is that thing weighs, I don't know, a pound, 2 pounds. Throw that thing away, man. You don't need that, right? So I'm just encouraging you to think about that while you're on the B.O.B campout. A thing that I read on the internet that people say is, well, if you hadn't used it in 3 campouts, you probably don't need it in your bug-out bag. Okay, I have a robust first aid kit in my bug-out bag. I have never had to use it, praise the Father. But I'm keeping my A-strap and my painkillers and my tape and stuff like that so that if, a bone is sticking out of my leg, I can still continue on or something. So that's not necessarily true. If you haven't used it, you won't. But we're all carrying a lot of things we probably don't need. So I just encourage you on this weekend to think about that. Did you see how far we were spread out? I mean, it was just incredible. Well, there's things to think about that. Communication. Yeah. Who was the last squad? If he needed us to stop for some reason, now there are ways units do that, and that's beyond the scope of what we're doing here today, but something else that you might want to consider getting for your group is those little FRS radios. If you're fighting an enemy like the Russians or the Chinese or some totalitarian power, they're going to hear everything you transmit. But if you're fighting Bubba, whoever, that's just the example I use, or the Hells Angels or something, they're probably not going to have complete spectrum radio scanners out there on what they're chasing you through the woods with. All right, so it's something to think about having those, and they're cheap. The little radios are really cheap. All right. We're going to go down here. We're going to take a little intermediate stop. No one's going to take off their rucksack. I'm just going to have a quick little talk with you there, so we'll kind of stay tight till we get there. Then we're going to spread out again. We're going to walk down a road. We're going to go around a corner, and we will have identified on a map already where we want to make our patrol base. And a patrol base is something, if you're moving with a group, you're going to have to stop sometime to sleep. Well, we're not going to sleep like we actually are going to sleep on this exercise, but in a real world event, you're not just going to scatter all over and everybody do your own thing. We have to stay tight. We have to maintain security. Somebody's always got to be watching for bad guys coming, so I can go to sleep soundly knowing that Jerry's got an eye out. Does that make sense? Well, there's a way to occupy a patrol base. And what we're going to do is we'll be spread out like we are, and then we're going to close it in. We're going to get into a single file, and we're going to take a right angle off the road. And then we're going to walk in, and do you see how big of a circle we're in right now? We're going to make a circle about that big. And we're going to come in, and Travis will designate a 6 o'clock position. So picture a clock laying on the ground. We're going to come in at 6 o'clock, and then we're going to make a clockwise circle from where Travis is standing all the way around, a circle about this wide. You're just going to walk in a circle. Until you come back to Travis, and when you get back to Travis, you're just going to stop and look out. And then this guy will stop and look out, that guy will stop and look out, all the way around the circle. Do you have that part? Once we're there and we look and it's like, it's okay, everyone's in and we're down, you can take your rucksack off. You're going to lay it down. And then what we do is we send out reconnaissance patrol. Because here's the deal. We could be in woods just like this and think, lay here for about 5 minutes and go, yeah, this is quiet. This is good. Nobody's here. And right over that hill in that valley, there's 15 maybe bad guys, however you define bad guy, who are just laying there. Next thing you know, we're cooking coffee, we're talking, somebody's working on our weapon, and 15 guys come up over that hill that we didn't even know were there. So what we do is we're going to send out 4 guys. 2 are going to go out at 12, the 12 o'clock position, and I'll explain this when we're there. 2 are going to go out at 6. They're going to go out 100 yards, and then they're going to go in a clockwise direction. And the 1 guys are going to come back in at 12, and the other guys are going to come in at 6. They're going to come in and say, here's what I saw. At that point, the patrol leader decides, are we staying here or are we going somewhere else? I'll tell you at that point, we're going to stay there. I'm going to tell you guys, find your campsite, camp wherever you want, blah, blah, blah. What are your questions on that? Does it make sense? I'm trying to kind of give you big concepts as opposed to little tactical things. You have to know that you're in a safe place before you lay down to sleep. You have to know that there's not a bad thing right over there. There's not a road right there that somebody's going to come driving down later. Okay? What are your questions? Comments? Dirty looks? All right, ruck up. We're just going to walk tight to the next thing. We're going to walk by squads, but just stay tight. We're going to walk right down this hill. We're going to have another little chit chat, 30 seconds, and then continue on our way.
Breakfast of champions. Coffee and chili.